Hey,
How you doing?
Will. Good, man.
Good
How
to
about
see you.
yourself? Right back
I'm
at you,
good. I'm
buddy.
good. Yeah.
Right
I remember
on.
the last time we did this, we had some audio difficulties, so hopefully this time we
I
can
think
bypass all
the third time will be the charm here. I have no doubt.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. How's the season been, buddy?
It's been good. It's been good. It's crazy that it's already June. I feel
Isn't
like
it?
I feel like it's you blink your eye and you're done with spring training, and then you blink your eye again and you're just trying to battle through the cold weather of Buffalo, New York, and then now you're starting to get some nice weather. So it's nice, but
Well, the cold
it's
weather
flying
hasn't
by.
slowed you. The cold weather hasn't slowed you down at all. That's
I say sometimes that I'm used to it, but I feel like whenever you get down to Florida for a couple months, it kind of wears the kind of the callus off you, and then you come back up here and have to build the callus back again.
that's a
But
good way of putting it.
so
The callus
yeah,
comes off. Exactly. Major
yeah.
differences between Buffalo and Florida weather.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. I can't. I don't know if there's a different or a bigger like discrepancy between weather than what we have to go through with Buffalo and
Truly,
Florida.
truly. Are you a humidity guy? Like, do you do all right in humidity, or would you
Yeah,
prefer kind
I'm
of dry and
from
cold?
from from Missouri, so it's always
Yeah,
humid, but I like playing in heat. I'd rather play in 100 than in 40 degrees. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm sure you're not alone.
yeah. No, I know a lot of guys that would rather play in 40 degrees than hot and humid. But yeah, it's
Yeah, we call those Canadians.
hey, if when you're used to it, it's that yeah. Like Damiano
Yeah,
Palmigiani, he'll it would be 50 degrees and everybody's in sweatshirts and leggings and stuff, and he's out there with just no letting just shorts and a. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I feel
I,
good. I'm
I
like,
don't I don't feel anything. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah, which is crazy.
Well, my guy, you've done this a few times now. We normally go about 30 to 40 minutes, but I
Yeah,
don't want to keep you longer than you have. Do you have a heart out here or?
nope,
Okay.
we're good. Yep, we're
Okay.
good. We're good for however long you want to go. So
Love it, Will. Thanks so much, man.
yeah,
All right, I'll count us in here and we'll
yeah,
just get rolling.
yeah.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
In three, two, one, and we're rolling.
How we
Hello,
doing?
and
Did I steal your intro?
you did steal the intro here. Why don't you host it and I'll answer the baseball questions? That's great.
That would not be a good idea. That would
All
not.
right, all right. So, hello and welcome everybody to the walk off. I'm Scott Belford. For all of you who are on the channel, are new here, it goes a long way if you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Very excited to have today's guest with us, currently leading the Buffalo Bisons in home runs. By the way, we have Baseball Town coming up 1 week from today. So June 2nd at the Comedy Bar. If you are a big Blue Jays fan around Toronto, this is the show for you. We have Daniele Franceschi from Sportsnet 590 The Fan coming on. We have Show Ali from Jays Talk and Sportsnet. And then from Blue Jays Today, we are going to be joined by Adam Peddle. Tickets for that are going to be in the comments. All right, now we're going to dive in here. I've done all of the housekeeping stuff, and now we get to talk to Will Robertson. Thrilled to be thrilled to have back on the show, I should say, outfielder for the Toronto Blue Jays organization, currently suiting up for the Buffalo Bisons. Will, welcome back to the walk-off, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, it's good to be back. It's good to see you.
Yeah, right back at you. Before we even dive in here, man, congratulations on Tuesday. 3 home runs, no small feat. Well done, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's still kind of crazy. I mean, I feel like most baseball players would say you just kind of go up there and try to hit the ball hard every time, but to get three of them to go over the fence is a little it's still a little shocking. So, but no,
You've
we'll
never
take it.
done that before, I'm
No,
guessing.
never, never. I don't know the last time I've hit two in a game, let alone I've never hit three before. So
So I know you're right on the border in Buffalo. You're so close.
yeah,
But do you know what Canadians call 3 home runs?
no, I do not.
It is a bat trick.
A bat trick,
Exactly. So in hockey, obviously,
little
three
hockey
goals is the
baseball
hat
crossover.
trick, and everyone throws their hats on the ice. And I remember Edwin Encarnacion did it back in 2016, and
uh,
everyone threw their hats on the field, and he was so confused. He was just like, "Why is everyone throwing their hats?"
uh,
So
little hockey baseball crossover. I like it. They should. Yeah,
exactly,
I wish we were
exactly.
in Canada and got to got to see that. That'd have been cool.
Well, at this pace, soon enough, my guys, soon enough, right?
Yeah, hopefully soon. We just got to keep plugging. So
Well, truly, I mean, honestly, dude, your numbers are absolutely incredible this year. OPS just under 1,000. You're hitting just under 300. You've got 10 dingers. Coming into spring training, what was your focus going into this season? More of a veteran guy this year. Was there anything specifically you were looking to accomplish in 2025?
I wouldn't say anything like crazy different than years past. Just talking with the hitting coaches and some of the hitting coordinators and stuff like that down in Dunedin, just trying to get back to just what I do best, just kind of move the way that my body wants to move, and hopefully that cleaned up some of the strikeouts and allowed me to hit for a little more consistency rather than just um, hitting the ball out of the ballpark every few times. Just try to be more consistent with that, and I think it's shown up here the first couple months of the year. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but so far, I feel like I've been able to kind of use my natural body movements to my advantage. That's been really cool.
How much does comfortability play into just playing loose and putting up the numbers that you're putting up? Because you kind of go through your stats throughout the years, and your second year at every level is always where you kind of excel. Like, is
Yeah,
there something to that? Just being comfortable, feeling good in your environment?
yeah, I definitely believe that 100%. I think I wouldn't say that like I'm attacking anything different from year to year. But I definitely feel like just being in a familiar environment, being around, familiar coaching staff. Obviously, these guys that I've played with this year, I played with a lot of them last year. But just kind of getting a chance to settle in to some normal that you've been through before definitely helps out a little bit. So
So this is your third time on the podcast. We first chatted back in the spring
yeah,
of 2021, coming
uh,
off that super weird COVID, no minor league season.
yeah,
You were drafted back in 2019. I mean, you played in Vancouver when it was the low A Vancouver
yeah,
Canadians.
uh-huh.
You've been in the system for a very long time, and you've kind of become a veteran presence amongst the guys in the minor league system. When you have a guy like, let's say, RJ Schreck, who was just called up to AAA, how do the vets like make that transition easier on a guy like that? And do you feel more responsibility in the clubhouse in that kind of leadership role this year than you have maybe in the past?
Yeah. I think for me, I've always been a guy that's kind of led by example, not really a guy that talks out a whole bunch, obviously when it's needed, but just be kind of like I would just somebody that they can rely on for any questions or just the day to day stuff. Just because I know I've been there when I was
Hmm.
coming up, especially in spring training, either backing up games. Like it's a little shocking at first. It's you kind of have to navigate that. Not sure the ins and outs of the daily activities. So just being able to be there for simple questions to put them at ease is always something that I'm here for. But I think more or less anything, just being a good teammate, just being able to help out with scouting reports if I see anything. But no, guys like RJ, they're pretty talented in their own right. I don't think they need me a whole lot. So
What is the difference, Will, from your first time walking into spring training to this year? Because I can imagine it's just like so intimidating and almost scary the
yeah,
first time or two. And now it's like,
yeah.
ah, been here, done that a million times.
I mean, so from my very first spring training was the COVID spring training, so that was obviously a little different than anybody else's normal spring training. And then we were in the old Bobby Maddock complex, which I don't know if you've been down to Dunedin at
Yeah.
all. It's a little smaller than the new one, so I feel like my first one compared to this past one is just having the facilities that we have now is crazy just from that standpoint. But from an experience standpoint, I think you know exactly how to kind of approach a spring training. That I think when you're a young guy, you obviously want to perform and you want to kind of impress a little bit or show what you've been working on all off season. But I think you kind of know that this is a tune up. This is not something that you need to blow out of the gate, but something that you're kind of trying to work towards to be ready for the season. So I think just the way you attack it, I think, is a little different, but the mindset is still the same, that that you're just trying to improve and get ready for the season.
So I remember after your stint in, I think it was the 2023 Arizona Fall League. I think it was
Yeah, yeah,
2023. Yeah.
2023, yeah.
And all the talk was your power lefty bat was going to fast track you to the big leagues because the Blue Jays were without a lot of lefty bats. Baseball's a funny game, my friend, because now probably what's holding you back a little bit is that you're blocked by all of the lefty bats. All of
Yeah,
this is noise, though. This is all irrelevant. And
yeah,
I'm curious how you kind of ignore that noise, right? Like, I know you can't just let your emotions be a yo-yo every time that you think
yeah.
something is going your way. How do you kind of compartmentalize that stuff?
Yeah, that's I guess the beauty about our game, and also kind of the detriment is, we get to play every day. And so, like, 2 days ago, having 3 home runs, it doesn't matter. You wake up the next day, you're 0 for 0. Like, it's kind
Yeah.
of crazy. Like, you can't, it doesn't carry over. Like, you can't, oh, I'm going to use one of these homers today. No, you can't do that. So I think I think just part of the game that kind of uh, gets you ready for stuff like that stuff that you can't control. You can hit balls, 110 miles an hour right at somebody, and it's going to be an out. So you have to be able to, push that to the side and focus on the process. So I think that's another thing, just being in this organization and playing for so long, that you kind of, you develop, is that, just what you can control mindset. So yeah, obviously you want to be in the big leagues, that's your goal, but I think you have to put it in its own column and really focus on day-to-day development, which easier said than done, but
Yeah.
that's what you try to focus on. So
How communicative are the Blue Jays with where you're at in your development? Like, are they kind of sitting down with you monthly? Is there like a checklist? Is it like year to year that they're kind of reevaluating? Like, what does that process look like?
yeah, usually year to year, spring training, end of the year. But they do a good job with kind of at a micro level of just like, hey, like, we want to, this is your goal, this is our goal for you, and kind of, meeting those checkpoints throughout the way. I would say more or less on that kind of scale of your development personally, rather than kind of as a whole, which I personally like, just because you can't control, everything. I feel like it is a little lucky. You have to be a little
Yeah.
lucky to get called up or be in that situation, but you can, dive into what you can do to develop and to grow more than anything. So I like it the way they approach that. Like for me, like being able to make more contact, not strike out as much. That was my big
Hmm.
focus, and still have a long way to go with that. But I feel like they put me in a good spot to succeed this year. So
Well, on the other end of the ball, you're playing all three outfield positions. I know you are getting more reps in center over the last year or two than you have throughout the
yeah,
rest of your career.
uh,
In fact, I've even seen there's been many times where you've been switched from one outfield position to another within the game, right? There's a platoon
yeah,
or a
recently, yeah.
substitution. Yeah. So how do you stay mentally ready for that? Like I'm aware everyone watches outfielders and they're like,
Yeah.
it's all the same position, but it's not the same position.
It's not, but no, definitely. We always kind of joke around in the clubhouse, like the outfielders. We do our live reps during BP. We do a little defense here and there, but it's more or less just feeling fresh because of how much that we are on our feet. But the infielders, they're out there, doing their vitamins, their early, paddle glove work. They're taking 100 ground balls a day, and
Yeah.
think a lot of the times they're like, dang, I'm a little jealous to not be in the outfield. But no, you're exactly right. I feel like a lot of people just think that you can plug a guy in left or plug a guy in right, and it's going to be the same. But just the way the ball comes off the bat from a lefty to a righty is different. It's going to slice a different way. So I think it definitely is harder than what it looks. But once you kind of are able to have a little time in both areas, I feel like it's not as bad. I think you can compartmentalize it in that way of knowing, okay, I'm in left here. This is what to expect. And personally, I think you could talk to a lot of outfielders that I think center is the easiest position because all the balls come off so true. So you can kind of just read it and go instead of
You got a
in
lot
left
of
or
room
right.
out there in center too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I mean, yeah, you can kind of just be an athlete and go get the ball. And left and right, you kind of have to be aware of, okay, this is the hitter that's up. He likes to, or he has a tendency to inside out it, so that ball is going to spin a certain way. So you have to, all right, take this angle in center field. You just kind of get to go. So Personally, I think center is the easiest, but I know maybe some guys view it a little differently.
It makes me laugh that people view left field as an easy position. Like,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, like it is
we're gonna slot this guy that just hits home runs in left field. And some guys would say that left field is the hardest because of
truly.
yeah. So it's which is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting that like they almost get put like it's like left field and first base. Any bum can play it, but it is not the case at all, right? Because left fields
No.
can be pretty tricky with just
Yeah.
reading the ball off the bat and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially in some of the ballparks, and obviously Fenway Park haven't got a chance to play there, but
Oh,
with the monster is that takes a different element into things. It's definitely a little more difficult than what I would say most people think, but when you're used to playing, kind of hopping around, it does make it a little easier.
is there a AAA park that gets a little tricky out in the outfield and either right or left field where you're going in there and you're like,
Yeah,
oh man, I don't know what to expect here.
yeah, no. I mean, in the minor leagues, like you run into parks that some of the wall is concrete, some of it is wood. Like you don't know how we were playing in St. Paul earlier this year, and it was padded wall, obviously to about 10 foot. So if you're going back on a ball that you're going to hit into padding, but then up above that was just straight concrete. So like you're going to play a ball against the wall, it's going to be close to hitting the wall. You obviously want to try to make that play, but then in the back of your mind, you got to be ready for, okay, if it's going to go a little long, you got to bust back to be able to catch it off the hop. So just little stuff like that. And obviously, the off outfielders, Joey Loperfido, does a good job of backing me up when things don't go quite right and kick off the wall and kind of save me a little bit. But no, stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
Worcester, we're going to in I think 2 weeks, has a big wall in right field that kind of is the same thing that is made out of different material that you don't know exactly which way the ball is going to bounce. So
That's
makes it a
interesting.
little
I never
tricky.
really thought about how much you need to kind of keep into consideration the
Yeah,
padding on the wall because I mean, especially in affiliate ball where like
yeah,
wins and losses matter, but like it's about development and the last thing you
yeah.
need is an injury from just
Well, yeah, it's and just like obviously it's not going to be up to big league standards, and you're wanting to make the play for the pitcher and for the team at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely not to the caliber of the big league parks for sure.
so I'm coming down to Buffalo to cover the Bisons at the end of June here. We'll see
Okay,
you down there. I know I was down around Salem once a month last year covering the team. And the
yeah,
Buffalo Bisons last year was a really interesting team, Will, because more than any AAA team that I can remember in recent history, it felt like almost everyone was called up and sent down at some point. There was a lot of guys that
mhm.
played both on the Blue Jays and on the Bisons. And I mean, it hasn't really been that way this year to the same extent anyway. So I'm curious what the vibes, I guess, for lack of a better term, what the differences are between last year and this 2025 Buffalo Bisons team.
Yeah. I mean, I think Casey Candell does a good job of setting the tempo. It's always going to be pretty laid back, and he does a great job of making sure that we aren't too uptight. Which I think at this level, I think you need a lot of. So he kind of sets the tempo, but from a I guess like a vibes, as you would say, I feel like they're pretty similar. I think we have a lot of guys that have came up together. Like Davis Schneider had a stint down here with us
Yeah.
which I'm happy that he's back in the big leagues, and he hit a home run the other night, which is always fun to
Yeah.
to see. But then yeah, you have Phil Clark, Damiano, Paul Mangiani, Riley Sherrod, all these guys that you've kind of came up with, so you kind of played with them before, so there's a familiarity with everything. But yeah, I know last year there was a lot of moving parts. A lot of guys got opportunities up there, which is awesome, and got to see them. It's always fun to see them when they go up, to kind of follow them and cheer for them too. So it's really fun.
And I kind of touched on this, the wins and losses, and obviously, if you're playing professional baseball,
Yeah.
there's a competitive streak in you, and you want those W's. But I know also that like when it comes to affiliate ball, the biggest goal is development, right? Like the biggest goal is for everyone to keep making that next step up. So how do you kind of keep that fire burning of competitiveness, but also reconcile the fact that wins are more icing on the cake than anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think wins make everything a little easier, a little better. Whenever you win, coming to the ballpark the next day, at least for me, it doesn't feel like as much of a, kind of, I wouldn't say a grind, but just we have to do something. So I definitely think wins help out a lot. It keeps everybody a little more loose. But I think from a developmental side, I think everybody's kind of at this level has their process of what they need to do and how to do it, which I think is really cool to see certain guys how they attack what they need to develop on, and you can kind of pick people's brains a little bit. But definitely trying to develop, and wins are obviously important. But it's fun to kind of get to see both sides of you have some really competitive dudes on the mound. Just watching this year, we've got a ton of relievers, starters that are super competitive, and obviously the position players too that want to do everything they can to help the team, run around third base less than 2 outs, and they're trying everything to get that run in. So it's we definitely have a lot of competitors on the team, for sure.
Well, when it comes to umpires, uh, some are incredibly accurate and some are not. They all have their good days and bad days, right? They are
Yeah,
just
just like us,
human.
just like all of us, we have our good
Yeah,
days and bad days, right?
exactly. So when an ump is squeezing you when you're in the batter's box, and maybe he's made a couple bad calls or has been inconsistent, and you're getting a little frustrated, is there stuff you can say or like little tricks you've kind of learned where you can voice your displeasure without kind of risking getting booted from the game or whatnot? Like how do you handle an umpire that's having an off day?
I mean, first and foremost, like these umpires in AAA are really, really good. We have the ABS system, which they've used in spring training, and um, they are really, really good. Because I mean, when I'm up there, I feel like my eye isn't the best. I would say not high on the tee with being able to challenge balls and strikes. So I'll go up there and see a ball. I'm like, oh, that's definitely got to be off. And I ask the umpire, is that the edge, or you have any more? And usually he responds, yes or no. So that's kind of my go-to. But then you go back into the dugout and you have the iPad that shows the strike zone, and it's like
Right.
a full ball in the zone. You're like, oh gosh, okay, now we should reset a little bit. So definitely, for me personally, I'm not the best at challenging or like the fine edges, but no, the umpires are really good at their job. I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, that's two balls off, and it's like right on the corner, or somebody does challenge, and it's a quarter of an inch off, and yeah, it's crazy how tight they can be.
It
But
is
no,
It
yeah,
is kind of funny with the iPads that like you
yeah,
do know instantly, right? Like you go back to the
hmm
dugout and you're like, "Oh man, that's on me."
yeah,
You see it all the time in the big leagues too, right? Like guys
yeah.
are arguing with the ump, go back to the dugout, look, and they're like, "Damn it."
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, you were right. Which that's I think something you do have to get used to, because I remember going from AA to AAA 2 years ago, and it was a lot of oh, that was what, like, you definitely do get a little more, I wouldn't say confrontational, but you have more discussion, because you're like, that was off, and then you can't really see that until the next day you get the report or whatever, and you see, oh, it was actually closer than what you thought. But this year, or in AAA, it's a little more, all right, these guys are really good. It's probably not too far off, and then you go look, and if it is, it is what it is. But the challenge system, I think, is definitely kept a lot of guys I would say, in check. I think the umpires get a little bit more of a, get to have to be kept in check, and then as a hitter, you also have to, you kind of have that line of okay, this is where I know the strike zone is or is not. So it kind of keeps the balance in check a little bit.
And I like the way you put that, the checks and balances. And people try and keep their cool, obviously, especially
Yeah.
in AAA and AA and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. Have you had a manager flip out as at an umpire in affiliate ball? Like, is there any moment that kind of stands out in your mind of like, oh man, my manager just lost his shit?
I've obviously Casey being my manager this year, he's had a couple times that he's had a couple blowouts. And then Cesar Martin is our bench coach and had him in Double A. And he's him and Casey are a little different. C's is pretty laid back, pretty chill, and then Casey obviously is gonna speak his mind, isn't afraid to. I've had both instances with C's and Casey kind of getting upset at calls, but they do it their own way, which is kind of funny too. I feel like some like players, some guys are very upfront and confrontational, and some guys slide the back way in and poke the umpire like a bear, and that
Yeah.
gets him tossed. But sometimes guys go straight for it. But so it's interesting the argument of managers sometimes.
I love Casey so much because he
He's
he just
awesome.
he just cracks me up. Like he really is a character, and
He is.
he's almost like from a movie type baseball manager, because I know that like talking to him after a game where the Bisons had lost, he's a prickly man, right? Like, like nice enough, and he answers the questions and everything.
Give him
And
15,
after
20 minutes. Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's it. Yeah, give him 15, 20. Let him, stew in the loss for
yeah.
for a little bit. But then after that, that's what I love about him is yeah, he keeps it really light, and he knows that this is a grind. He's been through it obviously, so
Yeah. And then
he
after
knows
a
that.
win, it's just all the time in the world. He'll talk to you
Yeah,
all day
yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah. And that's that. But that's who he is. Which that's what we love about him is
Yeah.
he's gonna be Casey. That's for sure.
So, Will, I know we touched on this before we hit record. Playing in Buffalo in April, it's not for the faint of heart, right? Especially in the outfield where there can be a lot of wind and it can be pretty chilly out there. Um, you're not you're not the guy out there in short sleeves, right? Like you're bundling up in April.
No, it's like the football players down or in the NFL, like they'll see who could be the toughest. No, I want to be comfortable out there. I don't want to be freezing my butt off. It's funny. Yeah, early on this year, it was kind of a running joke between Joey Luperfido and trying to think who Riley was in there. But like, is it a thick thermal layer or is it a double thick thermal layer day? So like you'd go from some days it was just one, you can survive on one, and some days you're like, nope, it's a two layer
It's a
day today.
two
So
thermal day.
two thermal day, two hot hands in both pockets. But no, it's definitely a grind, and what people do, I guess you could probably see it on TV. My parents always say that you can see the pitcher's pants rippling in the wind because of how windy it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people they see it's cold, but the fact that the wind is the worst part. It could be 50 degrees, but feel like 40, and that's worse than playing in 30-degree weather. So I think that's something that to me is the toughest is the wind, for sure.
So it does get easier come what, middle of May? It's nice in
Yeah, usually
Buffalo, right?
last year by the middle of May it was gorgeous, and that's what I think makes Buffalo so nice is you don't have to deal with the humid Julys and August. It's going to be 75, 80 degrees, no humidity, so
You just got
it's
to
pretty
survive
enjoyable.
April.
Yeah, which this year, if you got to survive April and May, which is was unique this year. But hopefully we're through that and getting into some nice weather. Which yesterday was 91 degrees, so and here in Syracuse. So be careful what you wish for, I guess.
Well, so the best way to put this is you're a lucky guy, right? You're killing it baseball wise. You've got a wonderful family. Does your wife and your baby girl come on some of the road trips with you? Do they stay with like do they live with you in Buffalo during the season? How do you balance kind of baseball and having a young family? I know that there's probably not a
Yeah,
perfect balance.
there's not, but they do an awesome job. They're actually with me right now. they're in the other room. They're playing right now. So
Amazing.
so if you hear a screeching or any crying, that's coming from the other room. But no, my wife does an outstanding job. She's got the most important job in the world. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she gets to take care of little Johnny, which is a blessing that we're able to do that. They came down for spring training, stayed the whole time, and then they actually went home for a couple weeks and let me get situated up here in Buffalo, and then they're going to be with me the whole rest of the time here. So it's definitely peace of mind. I feel like coming home from if you go 4 for 5 with 3 homers or go 0 for 5 with 5 punchies, you kind of have that same kind of, oh, you're going home to play with your daughter, be with your wife. So it definitely changes the outlook on things, which is
Isn't that a massive
very
thing to
humbling.
have? Yeah.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
humbling. So it's it's changed the way I look at a lot of things the last couple of years, which in a very, very positive way. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, having that support at home,
yeah,
it kind of gets downplayed how important it is, but it really
uh,
is like the missing piece sometimes, you know?
yeah, and you're at peace with a lot of things when they're here, and uh, yeah, it's a little more difficult having to pack the car every other week or whatever. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. They keep me grounded and in check. So yeah, you have a good game, but you have to come home and do bath time and put a 10-month-old to bed, which is yeah, keeps you grounded a little bit. Deal with a blowout here or there.
Yeah.
So
So Will, what's your game day routine look like? Are you are you a super regimented guy? Like is it the same dietary and stretching and pregame warm up every time, or does it vary from like location or what position you're playing? How like
yeah,
hard set is your routine?
mine's pretty. I would say it's like it's it's around the same guidelines. It's like, but like it can change a little bit here and there. I know certain guys, like I would say most pitchers are like strict. Like this is
Yeah.
the time I do this. This is when I do this. This is what I do this time. I feel like some of the position players are a little more like free flowing a little bit, but
Hmm.
I think definitely stay in the same guidelines of all right, get into the park, maybe get a little something to eat and then stretch, roll out, get kind of your body feeling good. If you have a lift that day, lift. And then kind of chill for a little bit, then hit in the cage, do your routine. I would say more or less very regimented on like my routine in the cage than anything else. I think that's kind of the position players like sacred spot is the cage. You'll see guys doing certain drills that get them locked in, and I feel like that to me is probably where I'm more regimented than kind of the other parts of the game. But I know certain guys listen to the same song before going out to stretch on the line, and all that sort of stuff. But I keep it within the lines, but I can kind of move and groove
It's
within the
more
lines.
malleable than let's say,
Yeah,
yeah, a starting
yeah,
pitcher. That's yeah.
yeah.
Have you
Some of their
No, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. I was just saying some of their routines are pretty locked in, and it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no bend. Have you been up to Toronto before, Will? Have you seen Toronto?
Never, no.
Never.
My wife, we were actually, talking about we need to go up there, maybe on an off day or something, and
Yeah.
venture through because it's so close. We've gone to Niagara Falls a few times, but we haven't been able to go that extra, I guess, an extra hour. But we definitely talked about going up there to check it out and just to see everything. So hopefully this year we can do that.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully in other aspects too. But yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. We will not say the words, but we're hoping for it, my friend.
yeah, of course.
Okay. Last question here. And honestly, Will, I am so grateful for how generous you are with your time. Really appreciate it, my guy. And
Thanks
and
for
we
having me
are
on. I appreciate it.
absolutely, man, and we're rooting for you, honestly.
Thank you.
What got you into baseball? Was your dad a big guy when it comes to ball? Like, was he a big ball fan? What
Yeah,
what what lured you to the sport?
good question. You don't really, I like, you don't get asked that question a ton, but you get a chance to reflect on. But no, my dad, actually, he, was in pro ball for a little bit. He was a undrafted free agent with the Orioles back in the early '90s and played for a year. But no, he was always back in. I'm from a small town in Missouri, so we didn't have football at our high school. So I never played football, just baseball and basketball. So the summer times were for baseball, and then winter times were for basketball. But No, he definitely drove me into playing, which he did a good job of like, you know, guiding me into the lane and not like saying, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do." He definitely let me kind of choose that on my own, but was always there to push me to to if pursue whatever I wanted to pursue, and gave me the opportunities to pursue it, which I'm totally grateful for. But no, just love the sport. I tell people all the time I would watch Sports Center in the morning and I would write down all the scores to all the games and then go out in the backyard and throw up a wiffle ball and hit the ball in the backyard and reenact every single game in the summertime. So yeah, just fell in love with it. I think just from watching it. I grew up a huge Cardinals fan, so the Cardinals in the early 2000s and the
Yeah,
tens
that was
there
an easy
were
team to
pretty
get on
special.
board
So
with, right? Yeah.
it hooks you pretty good. So yeah, definitely from a young age, me and my brother and my dad definitely had a special bond with playing for sure.
Well, Will, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank
Will
you. I appreciate
Robertson
it.
with the Buffalo Bisons. Check him out in Buffalo, and fingers crossed, everyone, that he makes his appearance in Toronto sometime this year, buddy. We're, like
Hey,
I
whatever
said,
happens, we'll take
you,
it.
you
So
never know
good seeing
exactly.
you.
Right back at you,
We'll
man.
see you
In a
in a
couple
couple weeks
weeks,
down in
absolutely.
Buffalo.
Sounds
You're
good.
gonna let it warm up a little bit, and then you're gonna come down, smart
That's
move.
right. That's the game I'm playing here. Exactly.